Hey everyone, it's Brandon Amoroso, and today I'm going to show you how to use Lifetimely for your Shopify store. At a super high level, Lifetimely allows you to see your customer lifetime value, which is the total earnings from a customer over the duration of their relationship with your brand. Now, that is a very sort of high level glance of what Lifetimely can actually do for you though. There's a host of more in-depth features and functionality and data that you can dig into, and we're about to dig into here as well, that's going to allow you to make better informed decisions across your entire business. I'm also going to cover some interesting use cases in terms of ways that you can take this data and actually make it actionable. Because I think one of the biggest gaps I see currently in the Shopify ecosystem today amongst brands is, they've got tons of reporting tools and capabilities, but they're not actually leveraging that to get insights that are funneled into, what they're sending to the customer or their strategy or the tactics that they're employing. So that's what I'm going to cover here today, and let's dive into it. First, I'm going to cover some of the setup and basic build out of the account that you need to implement so that you're getting your actual metrics in here. First, we're going to start with costs and expenses. So Lifetimely, one of the really great things about it is that it can give you a profit and loss report just daily sent to you. But in order to get accurate numbers here, it needs to understand what your costs and expenses are. So if you have it set up within Shopify, it's going to pull that in automatically. So here you can see, the zinc refill size costs $66, but the Shopify cost is $457. So this will allow Lifetimely to calculate our gross margin for us as well. You can set a default COGS margin if you want to do that instead, but typically I prefer to bring the actual product costs in from Shopify. Then you have your transaction costs. So in this case, this client is using Shopify payments, so that just gets pulled in automatically. But if you're using other payment gateways or anything outside of that, you can add the gateway here, and Lifetimely will include that in your reporting. The next is handling costs. So if there's a cost from your warehouse or 3PL in terms of per order or per item that we can add in here, and also your shipping costs, which I typically will just have brought in from Shopify, but you can import your own costs as well. And then any custom costs. So if there's any, let's say at the 3PL, each order gets an insert, and for each insert, there's a certain cost associated with that. That's an example of a custom cost that you could add here. And now recently, you can add in personnel as well. So you can add in your employees, yourself, any contract workers to really try and get down to that true, profit and loss statement. Next, in terms of the setup, is the integrations. So I'm not going to cover each one of these and go through step by step of doing them because it's pretty straightforward. You're going to click into them. It'll give you the ability to connect your account, and then it's going to pull in all of your marketing costs. This is really important because we want to be able to see what customer ROAS looks like from each of these platforms, but also from these platforms, what types of customers are we getting? Are they, high repeat purchase customers? Are they churning after one order? What are they doing when they actually become a customer of your brand? So go through, make sure to connect all of the channels that you're using. In this case, we've got Google, Facebook, TikTok, Klaviyo, and Recharge. A new channel that just came out is Amazon, which I'm going to touch on later in this video, but that's a really great addition, which allows you to get a true sort of 360 view of how your customer is interacting and shopping with your brand, which more and more we are seeing omni-channel brands with Shopify storefronts and Amazon storefronts, and it's become more and more difficult to be able to attribute where your customers are coming from. If you're spending money on Facebook ads to drive to your Shopify store, but they might end up actually purchasing on your Amazon storefront. So once you have the cost and expenses and integrations in place, next is pre-filters. So pre-filters allows you to exclude certain orders from your reports. So almost always I'll exclude canceled orders from the reports because we don't want that to potentially mess up any of the metrics. And then if there's any order tags you want to exclude as well, but we also exclude draft orders from the reports here too. Last is settings. So here is where you just put in your information if you have multiple shops, your calculation logic, email and Slack reports. So I like to set up a daily report that gets sent every day at 7 a.m. This is that daily profit and loss report, which is critical if you're a Shopify store owner to have a daily pulse check of how your business is doing. And you can also add it to Slack as well. So I typically will do Slack because my life sort of lives and revolves around Slack, but you can also have it send the daily report via email. In here, you'll also see any downloads that you've done, what the data sync status looks like, change your plan, go to your Shopify store, and some other basic setting stuff. And then the last thing is Amazon. So everything I'm about to go through here right now, you can now do with Amazon as well. So we'll circle back on that later, but super important as more and more customers are shopping in an omni-channel way from brands that they enjoy and love to be able to, connect that data in. This is a very new release from Lifetimely, so I'm really excited about it. Now that we've covered all the setup and basic sort of background stuff, let's dive into the actual product. So first, at a sort of top level, are your dashboards. So dashboards are, as the name suggests, are an amalgamation of various reports and graphs that you can add into it, and then you can choose whether or not that you want that to be sent on a daily or weekly basis. So here we can see the boardroom KPIs. This is auto-generated by Lifetimely. We can go here and click email, choose whether we want it to be a daily report, a weekly report, or a monthly report, and then set the specifications. So when we want those to actually be sent. But here we can see net sales, net profit, net sales versus marketing costs, all the way on down. And if we want to edit it and add anything, we can very easily do that by adding a report. So here you can see a bunch of different examples of what can be added. So let's say we want to do an LTV cohort. We go ahead and add that to the dashboard, which I'm going to dive into what LTV cohorts are later on. And then you go ahead and save that. But I'm not going to make any changes here. So dashboards is where all of the information and data, you can funnel that up into reports that can be sent out to yourself or to various stakeholders within your business. Next is the profit and loss statement. So this income statement is really valuable and can be sent to you on a daily basis at 7 a.m. And it'll walk you through your total sales, your marketing costs, your COGS, and what your net profit looks like, but it'll break it down even further for you. So we can select a time period. So in this case, we're going to look at January, and we're going to compare it to the previous period. You can see total sales broken down by week, but let's say we just want to look at it on a monthly basis. You can see the total sales, what the net sales were, COGS and marketing expenses, what the contribution margin is, your operating expenses. So operating expenses here, in order to get down to a true net profit, we would want to add in what our Shopify and apps are costing, any personnel and other expenses to get down to that. And then from a KPI standpoint, what's our percentage gross margin, net margin, refunds, COGS, marketing, etc. Now, where I like to spend a lot of time is in the acquisition portion of this report, because we can see what our blended new customer ROAS is across all of the acquisition channels that we're running. We're obviously going to dive a little bit more deeper into this in terms of which channel is, has a higher ROAS versus others, but this is a good gauge to see if your marketing spend is being effective or not at new customer acquisition. And you can also view it in a tile view if you want to as well. I prefer the tile view just because it's easier for me to look at, but either way, depending on how you want to look. Next is products. So this is going to show your actual product performance. I really like to use this for clients where we are building bundles or kits. So a lot of times we want to incentivize bundle purchases or kit purchases because that increases average order value on the site. We can filter the products based off of the product tag. So for that particular client, here you can see bundle. If I add that, it's going to filter out and only show me the bundle products. Now I can see the total sales for those products, how many orders, what was the quantity sold, what was the quantity refunded. We actually uncovered with one particular brand that the bundles were being refunded at a significantly higher rate than regular products on the website. And so we had to dive into that a bit with customer service, figure out what the actual issue was, whether there was potential bad actors or not, and come up with a resolution in terms of how we are going to, address that from a policy standpoint moving forward. But this you can also organize by product, variant, product type, or vendor. So another way to look at just the bundles would be, if all of your product types are bundles, then you could just filter it by this. Next is orders. So within orders, we can see here each individual order, what the order total was, what products were ordered, and what the gross margin on that order was. And we can filter by certain product tags or filter by certain order tags as well. I don't spend too much time in the orders here. I find the products to be a lot more useful in terms of the analysis that I like to run for brands. And then the income statement obviously is really critical to get on a daily basis to see how the performance of your business is doing. So those are the features and I'd say reports that fall underneath the profit and loss section of this. Now again, all these can be added into that dashboard overview that I just went through previous to this. Next is lifetime value. So this is where I spend a lot of time within the platform. And originally is how I uncovered, or rather discovered, Lifetimely as a really great solution that we wanted to use at the agency. And so great that we actually incorporated it into every single audit that we do for a client. So we'll have them download a free trial of Lifetimely so that we can dig into the data and metrics in a way that we're not able to without a solution like this. So here's that lifetime value report. Again, lifetime value, that's the total amount of money that your customer is worth to you over a given period of time. So this is just really critical at a high level overview standpoint for your business, because your LTV to CAC ratio is really important. If it's above a 3, and LTV to CAC ratio, that's the lifetime value to customer acquisition cost ratio. If it's above a 3, that means that you can spend more on acquiring customers. Maybe test into some different channels or scale up certain ones. Let's say it's, below a 1. That means that it's costing you more money to acquire a customer and what they're going to be worth to you. So at a basic high level overview of your entire business, your LTV to CAC ratio is sort of the gold star in terms of you want it to be at least 3-to-1. Now, it's not going to be 3-to-1 in every channel, and that's why I really like to break down this lifetime value report with the filters that are provided over here. So you can save cohorts to look at, let's say, subscribers versus non-subscribers. You can look at things like product and channel. And so one of my favorite things to do is to break it down on subscription versus non-subscription, but also channel. So we've seen time and time again that certain acquisition channels, they actually might be more expensive, but it produces a better customer. So if we see that they're repeat purchasing at a higher percentage rate and they're spending more with the business, we're actually going to be willing to, let's say spend $50 to acquire that customer versus spending $40. Now, within here, you can see the cohort breakdown. So when was the first order? November, December, January. How many new customers came in? What the customer acquisition cost was, and what the repeat order rate is during the selected time period. So let's expand this range a bit. Let's say since 2023. Have that load in here. So January of 2023, we can see there was almost 6,000 new customers at a customer acquisition cost of $21 with a repeat purchase rate of 28% since then. So what this is saying is in January of 2023, this business acquired 5,960 new customers at a cost of $21 each. And since that first order, 28% of them have come back and reordered up until today. Now we can see here how much each customer is worth. So CAC payback is something that's a really critical time period to track if you're a brand. In this case, the first order is already profitable. So the CAC payback is the first order. Then we can see $101 in accumulated sales per customers in the same month of their first purchase. So some customers came back and reordered again that exact same month that they ordered. So on average, these customers from January 2023 were worth $101 in month 0 to the brand. Now, we can just keep going here. So by month 12, this cohort was worth at around $206 in accumulated sales per customer. If we look at March, by month 12, $269. So you can see all the way down here how the different cohorts look. And the outliers as well. So the customers that came in from July of 2023, albeit they had a CAC that was almost 3x what it was in January, by month 10, they spent almost $1,300 for that brand. So this is something that would need to be dug into a bit more, both this June and July metric, because throughout the rest of these months, the next highest customer lifetime value is $421. So there might be something off with the data here, or there's something that truly exceptionally happened in July that we need to dig into further and uncover why or what was done so that we can try and replicate and emulate that again. Now, you can also compare across cohorts. So this is a really useful tool if you want to look at, I want to see customers, for example, who came through a particular first order discount code. So I love to test welcome discount codes, 15% versus 20% off, or 20% off versus $20 off. It doesn't tell the full story though, how many people are converting on that email pop-up and how many people are converting on that first order if you're not looking at a solution like this. So we can come in here and say, we only want to see customers who used a certain first order discount code. And so I can come in, actually look at, either the customer tag, or from a marketing standpoint, we can say here, let's find here we go. Underneath other, discount code, include first order with the exact name of the discount code, and you can add in that. In this case, we use dynamic codes, but there's always a sort of a seven digits before it, in this case welcome, that's consistent throughout all of the codes. So what I could do is, first order name contains welcome. But if we were going to test this with the brand, we would have like a welcome 20 or a welcome 21, just to see within this how it impacts the repeat purchase rate and the lifetime value. Because maybe the customers who get a 20% off code, they're buying at a higher clip that first order, but then they don't repurchase as much as those who are buying with the $20 off code, which is only possible for us to see if we're using a solution like this. So that's the lifetime value report. There's a couple of other things down here at the bottom which can be relatively useful, which is the LTV averages. So you can see your 3-month, your 6-month, and your 12-month, but also the predicted LTV and the predicted sales from your existing customer base, breaking it down by new versus repeat customers. Then you have your cohort breakdown. So you can break it down by product. You can break it down by discount code. We can break it down by order tag. So in this case, we can see most of the new customers for this brand come through their organic liquid B12. First order is worth $202, all the way on to, by month 16, they're worth about $615 to the brand. Now, the customers who come in and acquire the organic barley grass juice, while it's only a third It's a third less than the organic liquid B12. They're spending almost $1,700 by month 15. We should be looking at how we can get more first-time customers to purchase that organic barley grass juice. It is far and away the highest LTV here based off of new customers and the highest repeat purchase rate. The organic liquid B12 actually has one of the lowest repeat purchase rates here, aside from magnesium glycinate and the micro C immune power. So really helpful and insightful data here that we can break down further and dive into, how do we get more customers to purchase this. Next is the LTV drivers. So I love using this because, again, one of my biggest pet peeves with the current state of the Shopify ecosystem is the fact that there's a lot of reporting tools out there, but there's not a lot of insights or next steps in terms of, just because your LTV might be this or just because your CAC might be that, what do you then do with that information? How do you make changes to your strategy and to your tactics to actually improve, incrementally over time? So here is your LTV driver report, which shows from Lifetimely what the top positive LTV drivers are. So if the customer tag is a bronze VIP, that's a 456% lift versus the standard. And again, you can see customer tag, you can see order tag, you can see product. So product was micro C, that's a 44% lift. But you can also see the negative LTV drivers. So if the customer tag is Amazon, if the order tag is Target Plus, if the order tag is Shop Cash offers acquired. So this one's really interesting because it appears that Shop Cash customers really are not valuable for this business. At a historical LTV of only $68, that is abysmal compared to the other channels that we were looking at. So if I see something like this, I'm going to stop advertising on Shop Cash. Unless somehow the CPA is so low that this still is a profitable acquisition channel, there's a lot better ways that we could be spending our time and money. Then you have your insights. So customers who first ordered with an order tag subscription are 2 times more likely to return than the average customer. This is pretty interesting because this could mean for this particular brand, we're going to want to incentivize new customers who land on the website to actually begin as a subscription customer versus beginning as a one-shot customer. And then you can see a bunch of other things that are insightful in terms of negative LTV drivers. So this Shop Cash offers, again, is here, 6 times less likely to return than the average customer. And then we can see breakdown by product, first order discount code. So again, kind of comparable to what we were looking at in the cohort breakdown just before this. We can see that the organic liquid B12 has a historical LTV of $255 from this time period. But if we change it to last 24 months, let's see how the data changes here. Again, organic barley grass juice, $1,200 versus $488. This organic barley grass juice should be promoted heavily on the website. That, as well as the tongue twister of L-leucine. And then you can also see the number of orders that are associated with those customers that come in. So we've covered the dashboards, the profit and loss, and the lifetime value components of the platform. Now let's dive into the customer behavior. So the product journey is super cool, and not something that I've found within any other Shopify app, at least up until this point, and really allows me to visualize how somebody is interacting and engaging with the brand from a product standpoint. So if they're purchasing a particular product, where do they go next? What does the second order look like? And all of that funnels into how we can engage and interact with somebody from a retention standpoint based off of the first product that they order. So we are looking at the last 2 years here. Product journey is by product because you can also do it by a variant, product type, SKU, order tag, or vendor. But the first order is almost always, that organic liquid B12. Now, with here, you can see 9% of purchases are coming back, for the second order, 9% of those customers are placing that second order for B12. But you can see here that for the organic liquid zinc, 7% of purchases as the second order coming through organic B12. And you can just keep on going all the way down here and see, for example, that organic barley grass juice that we were talking about in the previous section, how it has such a high LTV. You can see almost 1,500 customers actually go from the barley grass juice to the organic liquid B12. Now, if we want to dig into anything more specifically, we can actually click on the product and see what's often purchased with that. So almost 22% of orders with the organic barley grass juice also had the spirulina in it. Okay, great. Why don't we create a bundle on the website that just has those two pre-packaged together already for first-time customers coming in or people who want to reorder those? There's a bunch of different ways that you can think about merchandising your website to incentivize higher AOV based off of some of this data. Again, for the organic liquid B12, you can see organic liquid zinc, only 16%, so there's nothing as substantial as the overlap here with that 22%. But you can continue to just follow through all the way to third order, fourth order, etc., and use this to be able to visualize what the product journey looks like for a customer. But also, let's say we know first order, okay, most are B12 to B12, but what about if we see something else, like the organic barley grass juice, that we have almost 1,500 customers going to the B12 after, and almost 1,200 going to the zinc. So perhaps in that post-purchase email and SMS flow that we send people coming through their first order being barley grass juice, we are incentivizing them to try the B12 or the zinc. We're surfacing that recommendation to them because we already know historically that's where customers are going to gravitate towards. Or even better, if these are subscription customers, we're sending them that reminder email 3 days before their upcoming subscription order to add B12 or zinc as a one-time add-on to their next upcoming order. A great way to be able to increase AOV. So that's some of the product journey here. Again, those filters that we use in the lifetime value reports and the profit and loss reports, they can be used throughout this product so that you can dig more deeply into specific cohorts. Next is funnel. And honestly, of all the tools that I use within Lifetimely, funnel is probably the one that I spend the least amount of time in, but funnel can visualize for you in a different way how somebody comes through the website. So you can see here, first order, 2,400 customers made it to the second order, 765 of those made it to the third order, but you need to add in filters here so that you can actually look at the funnel based off of where people are coming from, or if the customer has a particular tag, or if you want to do new versus any customer. And then you can also filter on the first order for certain products. So if you want to see the funnel the funnel from the product journey a little bit more specifically for a particular product, this is a good tool for that. And then you have repurchase rate. So repurchase rate, I love to look at, again, with filters, because this gives you that, cursory look. Great. Of all the customers in the past 2 years, about 30% are coming back within 365 days and reordering. But what does it look like for those who come through, their first touch channel is Facebook? This allows you to dig into that so that you can see, okay, let's look at Facebook. We're going to apply that filter. Pretty comparable, but the 30-day repurchase rate is actually significantly lower, as is the 90-day repurchase rate. So these customers are not reordering as frequently. You can see here the returning customer repurchase rate as well. So this essentially means the percentage of customers who made a repurchase and then made another repurchase within 30 days. Pretty low. But you can see that most returning customers repurchasing are within the 90 days, then 180 days, and then a slight uptick for 365 days. So this goes to show that 90-day to 180-day window, if we don't get them back in and reordering by 180 days, they're probably going to end up churning as a customer. But we can dig even deeper into this with the repurchase rate breakdown. So let's let this load up here. So this does it on a first order product standpoint. You can see of the B12 customers, 1,000 came back and reordered in the past 6 months. We can see which ones repurchased the same product and what the standard time is between orders. So pretty low repurchasing of the same product, which is rather unique for this particular brand. This goes to show it varies a little bit on a vertical by vertical standpoint, because some verticals you're going to be reordering the same product pretty frequently, whereas this is a supplements company. So if you order B12, you probably don't need B12 again right away, but you might need something else. And so you'll go and purchase a different product, which is why to repurchase anything is almost double for every single one here versus being a little bit closer. You can change the breakdown as well if you want to look at it by product tag, country, customer tag, etc. You're noticing a theme here is that all of this can be broken down in different lenses, and you can also filter all the reports as well based off of pretty much any data that you have in your Shopify store. So if you're running, let's say, a test campaign through a new affiliate channel, or you're running a test campaign, like let's say co-marketing emails with another brand, you can use this to see what those customers are actually doing versus, what's the CPA and what's that first order worth to us. This allows you to get so much smarter with where you're spending your time and resources, because it allows you to focus on what is the true gold star metric for a Shopify store, which is LTV, versus, just looking at what's the CPA of a customer. Because if that's all you're looking at, you have no idea whether or not those are truly good customers or not. Next is time between orders. So this one's rather self-explanatory. It'll show you what the standard time between an order is for your customer base. This is pretty helpful if you're a brand that has a very obvious sort of time frame for when customers are coming back and reordering. You can create your email and SMS flows in Klaviyo or Attentive or whatever it may be around what that time typically is. So here you can see the average time between orders is 51 days, but there's a pretty even skew here in terms of when that reorder happens. So there's nothing here that screams to me, oh, we need to do it by a certain time frame. Obviously, after a certain time frame, the jumps are less. So at around 60 days, it goes down to the 3s and 2s, and up here you're looking at 5, 4, 7, 5, 7. So we definitely want to get our customer replenishment flows in and around that 50 to 60 day mark, because 70% of repurchases are happening within those first 60 to 65 days. After that, it's significantly less. So I would say replenishment flows somewhere around here, and your win-back flow would be somewhere around this time frame where it really starts to diminish the return. Next is subscription churn. So this allows you to look at your subscription cohorts, whether you're using Recharge or other subscription platforms. But in most cases, we are using Recharge. You can see here that the brand didn't have subscription yet up and running until around July. But the percentage breakdown of the month since their first subscription order, how many are still active? So of customers who became a subscriber in January, 64.4% are still active in month 4. And you can go on down the line here to see what the current active rate is. September customers still at 54%, which is even higher, and that's at the 8-month mark, even higher than customers from December at 50% on the month 5 mark. I would guess that this is because of Black Friday, Cyber Monday promotions around the subscription, So that then funnels into those customers being less likely to stay because they weren't as strongly convicted about becoming a subscription customer in the first place. And again, we can filter this as well. So I really like to filter these again by discount because brands are constantly trying to incentivize becoming a subscription customer. But I've worked with brands in the past where 40% off your first subscription order. You're going to convert at a really high clip, getting customers into that program, but they're not going to stay on the subscription in the same way that somebody who only uses a 10% off code to become a subscription customer. And this allows you to actually dig in and see that for yourself. So last but not least is benchmarks. This allows you to compare your brand's performance against others in the industry and ecosystem. So here, let's let it load up. This is a brand in the consumable goods space. We are in the health, vitamins, and supplement category, and our customers are B2C. So overall performance, we're above average. Great. Profit and loss, total sales, we're in the top 25%, and our contribution margin falls in the top 50%, skewing towards the higher end here. And our gross margin also falls in the top 50%. New customer AOV, again, top 25%. Repeat customer AOV, again, top 25%. This new customer AOV to repeat customer AOV is extremely healthy. This is showing that new customers are ordering from the brand, and those that do come back and reorder, they're spending almost triple what that first order was on their second and repeat purchases. Now, from a retention standpoint, we're actually not performing super well here. 13% in terms of the new customer repurchase rate within a 90-day time frame. That falls in the lower 25 percentile, as well as the 180-day new customer repurchase rate is in the lower 50%. So you can continue to go through these reports, but if I were going to focus on something with this brand, it would be around what is happening to the new customers that they're not coming back and reordering. Is it an issue with the acquisition source? Is it an issue with product quality? That's where I'm going to be spending most of my time and efforts. And so I would go back into some of these reports and look at it on a cohort basis, which ones are contributing negatively to this. This is including all data from the store. So one of the first things I'd look at are those shop cash customers who are 6 times less likely to repeat purchase than others. How much is that skewing this information here? If we take them out of this, does this bring us up into a higher percentile in the retention standpoint? But all this goes into how we're able to leverage Lifetimely to actually be able to provide relevant insights and next steps around how we can implement different strategies and tactics. And something I'm really excited about as well is how it's not the only product offering that AMP has. So Upsell is a solution that is essentially a supercharged AOV booster throughout the entire customer buying journey on site. And you can do things like, AMP can take information like that customer behavior product journey that we were looking at and use that to inform what the upsells are that are being shown to customers. And I think of upsells as literally free revenue for brands, especially those that come right after an order has already been placed, that interstitial between the thank you page and the checkout actually being completed. So all of this information, as opposed to us just looking at it here, it's being taken and leveraged within upsell to be able to increase AOV and conversion rate on your storefront. So that's all I have for you today. That's a complete walkthrough of the entire Lifetimely product and how I like to use it across all the various Shopify and Shopify Plus brands that I work with. Again, super valuable solution and tool when it comes to better understanding your customers beyond just what in-platform metrics show you when it comes to new customer acquisition costs and the AOV that they're spending on your storefront. So again, this is Brandon Amoroso. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll make sure to answer as many as I can. And thank you for watching.